Hey, you guys, it's King Coop Dizzle,
And
and
Meltzer.
I have Mansa Musa with me, Keita. This is Bro Talk number 2. Let's get straight to it. Today, we're going to be talking about the history and our history and experience on our black farm. Um, it's a story that probably has never really been spoke of much, especially not outside of us. We're probably one of the oldest black farms in America. Let's just put a stamp on that. And let's go ahead and get to it. Now, I want to start out um, with this picture here. Mansa, my brother here, is somewhat of the family historian, and this is the farmhouse, um, the house we grew up in. Um, how old were you when you moved into this house, and what was your experience, your young
um,
experiences, memories of this house?
I was right at 3 years old when when our father had got custody of us, full custody of us. We moved from Waycross to Pearson, Georgia. Well, Kirkland, Georgia.
Man, I thought you was 6 or 5.
I was 3. Uh-huh. And I was a 3 year old. And so I automatically thought this is the biggest house I ever seen in my life. But yeah. But it was definitely a change in environment, and that was my first memory was stepping out of that old Ford Escort and uh and and walking up those steps thinking this is a big house.
The first, the first thing I remember about the old house is I jumped out and there was a lot of dogs. We never had dogs before, and I got out,
Yeah.
start playing with like 5 different breeds of dogs.
Yeah, they were.
Chilling in the yard, just living there, and I just couldn't believe that. Coming from the city, I think I was about. I think I was. I want to say I was. I thought I was 8, but I'm not. I'm not sure now. I thought I was
Yeah,
8, but
I think I think it was 7, 6 or
yeah,
7,
still young,
somewhere in there.
still
Yeah,
young.
really.
Still very young. But I do remember up here on the porch, um,
Yeah.
Aunt Connie was sitting there waiting on us because I'm pretty sure she had orchestrated, us coming to live there or had a big part in it. But as you can see, this picture here is from, I think this picture here may be from the 60s. It may be earlier. Um, this is one of the sisters, the 3 sisters that was raised on the farm. Their parents were slaves, correct?
Yes. Bessie, Connie's, and Isabel, the 3 girls. Oh well, 4 girls actually. It was Gertrude too. Their parents were former slaves. Yes.
Mhm. And we're gonna share some pictures with you guys. We got together some of the farm pictures, past and present. Some very old, some more new. We're not gonna show everything, but we are gonna share a lot with you guys. And as far as here's a picture of you,
That's me.
um,
Yeah.
very young age.
Yeah.
With one of the
Uh,
cows, one of the yeah, it's actually a calf right there on the side.
it's 2 of them. It's 2 of them.
That
They
were
had
twins.
twins.
Yeah, they had
Uh huh.
twins. And we
Yeah.
actually, do you remember we had to get up in the, like, I think it was like 0 or 15 degrees that winter, and we had to get up every morning and go feed those particular calves so they would live, because
Hmm.
she passed away, did she not?
Yeah. She passed away.
And left those 2 calves.
And
We had a
left
very,
us to that.
yeah, at a very young age, this guy right here, our dad, the head of the farm right now, the person who operates it to this day, still in charge, running things.
CEO.
So this is him around that time when we first got here. Look a little older now, but he still has a good shape.
Yeah.
But that's one of the pictures. I just wanted to show that real quick. But I also want to get back to this picture because the house still looks relatively the same. It's in the
Yeah.
shape. It's in the shape of a cross, correct? And it's facing the east.
It's facing the east. And that's
Uh
because the person that built it, Isaac Oliver Johnson, was a Freemason.
huh. And also, I would like to point out that the wood from this house um, was donated originally to build a school, the Rosenwald schools. Now, Rosenwald was a Jewish man, and he built black schools all over the country um, during the late 1800s, I believe. And after they tore the house down, they took the boards from the old Rosenwald house, old Rosenwald school, and built this house. So this house was once a old black school, and there's some documentation online of that. And before that, before the house was there, if you guys can see, I know you already know, it's the old log cabin that they stayed in beside it. It's not there anymore. There's
Hmm.
this yard there and these pecan trees that were once there too, but the hurricane recently took those away from us.
And
And
what's the crazy story about those trees? No one really knows the age of them, and
exactly.
but when you get to talking about it, people that lived, um, those trees were probably around 200, maybe 220 years old.
Now, do you feel like the pecan trees are that old, or are you referring to the oak trees that are scattered throughout the property that I know for sure are probably 200 years old?
I'm talking about the actual pecan trees.
Because
That's
they're
too.
huge now. You can't
Yeah.
hug them. You can't. Two people maybe probably can't hug them.
No, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Um,
If
but
we could hug them, we would have already did it.
because uh, Isabella Hill, who's our great auntie, she was born in 1910, and she said those trees, with as far back as she can remember as a
Man.
kid, they was already adult trees.
Hmm.
So you can get you maybe 30 to 40 years right there from 1910, and that'll put you close to that 200 mark.
I
And
mean, and whatever year that this was, I was just like, these shingles are brand new. The house looks
mhm.
really nice and well taken care of to not have homeowners insurance, to be built by hand,
Yeah,
crafted. I
yeah.
mean, you see, I mean, something a lost craft for sure. It's not a lost craft and for us, we're still able to do that kind of stuff if we want to. But as
Well,
far as the black community as a whole, you just don't see that much.
yeah, the craftsmanship for that house, pitch roof was very advanced, and and I could say technology and architecture. But you
Hmm.
got to realize that the same person that built that house, which was your great grandfather, Isaac Oliver Johnson, he also built the courthouse in Pearson, Georgia. So
Yes,
uh, mathematics and skills was something that he did not lack. And that's amazing coming from someone who was a former slave.
exactly.
And yeah, he did a lot of things, like also the post office, where it's at in Pearson, was actually part of our farm too. That's why the city of Pearson is older than the actual county
Hmm.
of Atkinson. Yeah. So he gave land and built the first post office so Pearson can be 31642.
Hmm.
So, and he acquired this land after he was freed from slavery. He also was educated. He went to what is South Georgia College. Now,
Hmm.
he went there at night because black black people. He was the only black person to go. He was the first black person to go, and that's where he received his education at night. because black people wasn't even allowed to go to school, and because they was making an exception for him, he definitely wasn't allowed to go when white people was at the school.
Mhm.
So
Definitely.
so he got his education. He became proficient in Latin, mathematics, and different other skill sets that he learned. He was the first college educated black. He was the first black to go to college in Southeast Georgia. He was the first black to receive a what we would call a degree. He was also the first Republican chairman of Atkinson County. Um, Not just the first black, but he was the first because he pretty much by giving land to build a post office, he pretty much, you could say, was the founder of Pearson. But
Hmm.
after he done this, he was awarded the position of the first chairman out of whites and black. He was the first Republican chairman of Atkinson County because, as I said before, the city of Pearson is older than actual Atkinson County. Pearson used to be a part of Coffee County. Not only
Hmm.
that, but he built the first black school in Southeast Georgia. And that's where the Oak Grove Missionary Church sits at. That was
Hmm.
also his property
Hmm.
that he obtained out of slavery. He built that was a church and a schoolhouse. He also gave land for blacks to bury their individuals. So you could say he was a founder of the first black cemetery, which is
And I
across the street from Oak Grove
and
Baptist Church.
I want to reiterate that this is Isaac Oliver Johnson, and he was a
Hmm.
former slave, and this was his farm, and we are direct descendants
Yeah, yeah,
of this person. I
yeah.
just want to point that out and make that clear. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just definitely wanted to drive that home.
Yeah. And a lot of people got to understand that being a slave, most slaves, probably 90% or greater, could not read or write. This man could speak pretty much Latin. The
The
formal.
books that he had in his reading room that we saw growing up,
Mhm.
the old, I mean, math, theology, Greek, I mean, Greek mythology, just you name it, atlas, maps, just all kind of stuff that he would just study. Um,
Not
right,
only that, but he was. I'm sorry.
books on writing, things like that.
Hmm. Yep. He was a very intelligent man, and not only that, but he was an inventor too. He invented the first cane mill.
Yeah, the sugar
Uh,
cane mill.
yeah.
Hmm.
So how people make syrup today
Hmm.
is pretty much a descendant of his invention, and
Hmm.
he was a very educated man,
Hmm.
and to be a former slave, that's remarkable. He was definitely a pioneer. He was definitely an entrepreneur. He was definitely he. To me, he's the equivalent of Thomas Edison
Hmm. And
because he
never
paved the
spoken
way.
of, and no one
No,
knows.
no one knows him.
And
No one
honestly,
knows him.
uh, I'm not aware of the exact year that he purchased the farm and how exactly the transaction went, but I'm sure.
The
Uh,
transaction historically, he never purchased the farm. What he did was that he purchased his freedom, and then a couple of years later, the Emancipation Proclamation came, and in those bylaws of it, uh, slave owners had to give up their territory that they was owning these slaves on, and so he was the recipient of it. Now,
Okay.
yeah. So, he pretty much purchased his way out, worked his way out of slavery.
Mhm.
You know, and and that shows in the family. It's a big family of hard workers. Um,
I
but
mean,
I have not yet to see an individual that, if we can equivalent him to today, we have to you have to make something that's unseen before, because for his time he was definitely beyond, before his time, knowledge wise he was extremely smart.
in order for the farm that we grew up on to still be there, they definitely had to lay a
Yeah,
solid foundation, and to turn that piece of land into what it is today. From nothing with mules, you know, plows. They didn't have anything to help them dig up the tree stumps or
mhm,
anything like that. Entertainment and to build a house on it, as a former slave, have the knowledge to do that. That's something people these days don't even have the knowledge to do that. And it's still
yeah,
here, and it's been over a century, and
yeah.
it's
This is
here.
what It's well over a century. It's been approaching that 300-year mark.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's why I said
Because you
I need to pinpoint a number so I can give a clear answer on exactly the age, but I'm sure it's extremely old. Like I said, we've been there for many, many, many years,
Yeah,
and it's crazy that this is the first time anyone has ever even attempted to document it, because we have stories gone to bed.
yeah.
As the old folks would say, we got stories gone to bed. But we're
Yeah,
gonna go through a couple more pictures just to keep
yeah,
it moving a little bit here.
yeah,
Um, Here is that's like I said, that was you with the Holstein. Um, this is Hershey, chocolate lab. Hershey was one of the sweetest dogs.
yeah. He was.
Very, very calm. And
Yeah.
as you see in the background is the field. This is more modern. This is probably like 2010. Is that the horse Blazer back there?
I can't really make out what that
Kind of
is.
kind of looks like Blazer back there, but we did have a
Kind of.
horse at one time. But as you can see, that's the front yard. Let's just keep it moving. That's hay hay baling, season. My dad has the hay bales out there. That's the old truck that we got from the lady Virginia helped. And
Uh-huh.
actually, happy birthday to the first lady, the current first lady of the farm,
Yeah.
Virginia
July.
Cooper. Today is her birthday, February the 23rd. She's been out there for 30 plus years, working her butt off to keep everything together. So shout out to her and happy birthday to her. Anything you want to say, Anthony?
Happy birthday.
So
No.
this is Blazer, you in your army uniform.
Yeah, that's when I just had got back from Germany.
Man,
Yeah.
my shirt is ugly. But I was spending some time on the farm then, and I didn't really care what I wore at that time. I was just on
Yeah.
the farm. But as you can see, the trees in the background. That bull was massive.
Yeah.
This is Virginia Cooper. Happy birthday! Like I said, First Lady. It's my
Yeah.
dad. It's Brian. He was a Marine. Simplify. Rest in peace. Lobo,
Yeah.
big head self back there in the back. Lobo Dotson stayed on the farm for a few years, and Jawan, Keena, me. I'm not sure who took the picture. It could have been you. I'm not even sure. But as you can see, this picture here is in the background. Um, is this Lonnie?
That's Lonnie Johnson. That's Isaac Oliver Johnson's wife.
So that's the
Your
founder that we were just speaking of. That's his wife. It looks like she has a haircut, but actually, I think she may have been of some kind of Indian descent also, and she had hair down her back. Correct?
Yep, hair down her back.
Uh-huh. I mean, look at that outfit, and those pictures, have been. And you'll see as we go on through the pictures how old those pictures are. This is us on the front porch at a young age.
Yeah.
That might be Kenton.
Yeah.
Man, so you know what year that was? That was late 90s, like
Early
90s,
90s.
early
Mm-hmm.
90s, mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Who exactly is this in this picture? Because I don't fully remember.
That's that is Lord, let me get the words out of my mouth. That's Oliver Johnson's like cousin, and
Mm,
that's they was they was the adults in that picture. They were slaves too that were freed, and I
mm-hmm.
think they took that picture. If I can remember, Connie told me they took that picture not too long ago, not too long after they was freed.
Not too
So
long after they was freed. And
yeah, that's
the reason why I asked you and let you lead this conversation more is that, like I said, you were one of the youngest to move there. That had moved there a long time, and you spent a lot of time with the sisters.
yeah,
Parents were slaves, and you sat on the porch, and they told you a ton of stories at a very young age. Me, very young, but you extremely young. So I think it stuck with you more because of the extreme youth that you were exposed to these porch stories from women, three women whose parents were slaves.
yeah.
Yeah,
For them to accomplish, that's their mother.
that's fine,
That's
right?
Lonnie. Yes,
Mhm.
that's Lonnie Johnson. But for them to accomplish what they accomplished at the time that they accomplished in
Man,
the United States,
man,
it's milestones because
man.
what they was at, it was very racist. White people were very, very mean and
I heard the
was very
story. I heard the stories
mhm,
of Monte Connie. I would have friends over of different races, and she would always be kind to them. She would let
mhm,
them come in and get a snack with me and everything, but she wouldn't just have conversations with them or anything. And when she would leave, she would say, I like the fact that you can have friends of different races. She said, but me personally, I'll never be able to forget what white people did to us. And
yeah.
I hope
They
that
would
God gives it in my heart one day.
yeah,
And that really stuck with me, that she allowed me to live like that, but in her heart she could never forgive white people for the things she said. I remember her saying, I'm gonna let you go next, but I remember her saying she remembers torches coming up the road, them coming to burn people's house
mhm,
down. I mean, these are people that raised us. I mean,
mhm,
so to be able to talk to someone that close to that era is extremely rare in the black community. I mean,
yeah.
that's why sometimes we feel like we don't have anybody to relate to because we really don't. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I'm just gonna piggyback off of what you said. Yeah, white people were extremely mean and very criminal acting. Um, she told me about murders and hangings.
mhm.
You could be walking down the road from school, a little kid, because you black, and white people would attack them, hang them, shoot them, like they was just wild animals. And if
And
we
to
talking
survive
about
all of that and to
we
own
talk
land, I don't understand how they were able to hold all of that together in order for
yeah,
us to still be here
yeah,
today. It's just you had to endure so much trauma that
yeah,
no one really knows about. And this is I mean, you can look at her eyes. If you could zoom in and pause it and look at her eyes, I mean, you can tell that she's been through a lot. And whoever
yeah.
drew these pictures was an amazing artist.
Actually, those
But
are
it's a real
actual
picture. It's an
it's
actual
a real
picture. Yeah.
it's an actual picture from a camera. They had to
Yeah.
sit in front of the camera for like an hour still for
And
to take the image.
what I'm saying is, it's whoever was able to take this picture and
Hmm.
what do you call it, expose the image.
Hmm.
We're good because it's a very clear picture for that time. But it actually is a real picture.
Hmm.
You said they had this. Go ahead and they had to stand in front of the camera for an hour.
About an hour to take the picture.
Hmm. I mean, my goodness. This is the current boss of the farm, my dad, KC, Mr. KC. This is him and some goats that he got from Troy Jackson. These goats ended up running off to Pearson. We did our goats. We have to get better fencing in the future in order to accommodate goats because they are very
they're pessimistic. Yeah.
They know how to get their way.
Yeah.
Good picture of him. This is a picture of the front yard. I mean, when you come up the lane, this is what when someone is coming up the lane, this is what you see. And I've seen people come down this lane more than people could ever imagine. I'm sure you had to. I saw you drive up this road 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder how many people sat on that porch and saw the same view over the centuries. I mean, it had to be caboodles because, like I said, we've been here for an extremely long time. But this is a view that a lot of Black people in our family have been able to enjoy. That's actually 2 rainbows. I can see better because I'm on the big screen. But and this picture is after years and years of development. This is probably the best it's looked in history when it has pictures like this. And that's something that my dad did. He's been running it since the early 90s at least. So shout out to him because he definitely it was an eyesore for many years because of the lack of funding, because we've never had any kind of good funding. Besides NRCS, and that was basic minimum. Here's just another picture a little farther over. I said these are the blackberries that grow up and down the lane every year. They're delicious.
Yeah, as a kid, we used to get sick after eating them. We eat so many of them.
But you get your fill for the year, and you good, and you got your nutrients you need. But they have browse on them that blackberries just don't have anymore. This strain here, it's a special strain. And that's one that I hope to keep around because I know it's a special strain. This is a treat that we made out of it. We made it into a sauce, and then it was kind of like a crumble. It was delicious. It's just one of the few things that we've made out of ingredients on the farm. I just want to show that. A little bit on the history of this dam, if you will, Mansa, because this dam was also the ingenuity of Isaac Oliver Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not completely on our property, but it does border our property, and it's very old. Enough for me to trust standing on it.
Yeah, it's over 150 years old. He built that when he was like, I think it was around his teens, 18, 19, but he built that dam. And you talking about someone that never traveled to where they have dam reservoirs at, but I guess he could read about it or envision it in his mind, and he built it, and till today it's still lasting. So that's 150.
So many fish before and after this spillway that I can't even. I caught my first fish to the left of this dam. Literally, I caught my first fish because of this dam, because of a fish that was over here somewhere, out of this picture. And that's where I caught my first fish at. Because when we first moved here, we went fishing out here, which was extremely dangerous for kids just moving. That is wilderness out there. If you don't know, that is real wilderness out there. It's not a game. But it's been there for many years.
Yeah. It's not even, it's so wild that it's not even on Google Maps.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not even recorded. People don't know it's there.
Right. And we're going to go back the other way for a moment. As I started this way. This is a burn day. This is always one of my favorite days. This is a method where he keeps the fire going with gasoline and just walks along with it and lights it. you have to call Georgia Forestry and let them know you're going to burn. You have to know the wind. I mean, I remember when we were young, we had bicycles, and it was our job to keep an eye on the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, and if you made the wrong move, you could be caught up in some fire real quick.
Yeah,
So
you can be
you
in
had to
danger.
have some sense, but it was something that you had to learn early.
Mhm.
Definitely, this is him at an early age. This is KC at an early age. Our dad. So this, I don't know. I think this was like in the 1960s, maybe.
Yeah. That's old.
It's the pond in the backyard. Just quick picture. The old tractor. That's
That tractor still runs to this day.
International Farm Mall. A Farm Mall International. I mean, great tractor. Yeah. I remember buying the parts from a salvage yard in California and getting them shipped to the farm when I was in the Navy so we could get that tractor running again, because at one point in time, that was the only tractor that we had. And this was 2010.
Yeah. That tractor, I think it's a 222
Mm-hmm. 440.
international or 444. Yeah. A 444 international 444. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's an old one.
We'll put some smoke in your face in the right wind. Used to give me a headache. Used to give me a headache sometimes to drive it. But he drove it all the time. This is another burn day. Picture of burn day. Just, just certain stuff that has to be done year round. Like I said, we do this without fun, and it's been done for years and years and years, as long as we can remember. I'm sure they've been doing this, clearing land, burning land, maintaining land. I mean, it's been passed down a few generations now. You don't really see this in the Black community. There are no specials on us. So what you see here is definitely undocumented stuff. This is German Shepherd puppies that we had back in the day. I believe Mr. Spinny Brown, rest in peace.
Yeah, Mr. Spinny.
Keep like Kenny Jr.
Yeah.
That's what he say when he see us. But these were the German Shepherd puppies we had back then. I mean, great breed just to have at a young age like that. We've been dealing with dogs for many years. I know your wife has been some competitions in the dog show, and people think it's by luck, but actually, I mean, if I'm this young in this picture, it's the bicycles, by the way, and a bucket of water that we drunk out in a water hose, because that's what you got, you drunk water out the water hose.
Yeah, it wasn't out there what they call the spigot.
Water spigot.
Spigot.
So we always had dogs. When I first moved there, I think we had 15 dogs, and we had to feed them every day.
Yeah, we always kept us around the dogs.
We even had a child that lived under an antique car down in the field that never came out except for when you threw him food, and then he would growl at you and you had to run home. A child. We had that was a child down there living under the car, and he was wild. That was a wild dog.
Yeah.
This is another picture of him. Our dad at a young age. This picture right here, as you can see, the family picture that we took when we said happy birthday to Virginia. This is the same picture in 1965. The same place we spent Christmas at. Christmas tree was in the same place.
In the same place.
I don't know who these little girls are, but it's 1965. I can remember spending Christmas with the same picture in the 2000s, and so the picture has
yeah.
A lot of people over the years.
Yeah.
Look at that it looks like Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yeah, I agree.
This is who is this in this picture? The name isn't coming to me right away.
That's Isaac Oliver Johnson. I believe that's his brother or uncle or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But this picture was always there, and this is not Lonnie. I believe this is was she a Roberts?
Yeah, she was part of the Roberts, George Robert, Alan Robert, them side of the family. Because a lot of people don't realize this. It was two farms. The
Yeah.
Roberts had theirs, and we had ours. But
Mhm.
their farm was lost through the years.
Probably illegally, I will add, but
Yeah, yeah,
two prominent
yeah.
families there, and they worked hard
Excuse
together,
me.
and they prospered by sticking together for many years until whatever happened to the other farm. But
Yeah.
this is me in my Navy days, just coming home, I guess. Uh, this is our dad again. So the dogs, I just have always been here. This is him with dogs in the '60s. You know, look at the old car. Look at the breed of dogs. I'm not sure what breed that is, but it looks like some kind of bulldog, maybe. And that is all the pictures that we have for now. And I hope you guys enjoyed the pictures. We're gonna go back to this picture of the house, and we're gonna touch a little bit more, Mensa, on just our experience growing up on the
Okay.
farm and what it was like for us, because no one knows that story either. We worked for free, um, which is fine. We lived there. We
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I say, well, technically, yes and no. Because our father was a very hard working man, and he was strict. You know, he didn't.
Oh, you spent
He,
time. You spent time with him. It was through work.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't no hugs and kisses, none of that.
It was
Uh,
fence post hole diggers.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
and
remember
that's
telling,
okay.
yeah, because he was always every. I kid you not, and I talked to him one. I talked to him about 10 years ago, and I come to the realization of what he was doing, and I said, every day of my life when I lived out there on the farm when I was small, every day was a lesson about how to be a man. This is what a man do. Every
Mhm.
day. That's no cliche. Every day was what a man is supposed
It was a
to.
self funded farm,
Yes,
and
we had no government.
farming is not cheap.
We had
It,
no government. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I hear you.
We had no government assistance, like most Caucasian farmers have.
Mhm.
We uh, white people that own financial institutions like banks and stuff was envious of us or just racist, and they would not give my dad a farm loan, even though
I've
his
been,
credit was,
I've been in the
even though
office.
his,
I was in the office with him before, and heard the excuses that they gave him, saying his farm wasn't bringing in enough income, or he didn't have enough collateral, or things that things that were caused through oppression. And
yeah, yeah, that the white community in the Southeast did a good job of oppressing our farm, but we still through outside resources, we was able to get a little help that helped us out. But most of it was us working, the kids working. Um, when we became adults and started pumping money into it, but there was little to no
us,
help at
us,
all.
us. This we
Us, uh,
older, us and our
yeah,
siblings, when we got together and started pumping money into it.
yeah, and that's a sad thing,
That's what had to be
you
done.
know, but it had to be done. But my dad did a good job with what he had. My dad owns over 266 acres because we have land in other cities. That's not only Kirkland,
Surrounded, in the area, but
surrounded cities.
farm itself is over 266 acres.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of discrimination, uh, that my daddy had to endure, both from local um, white individuals and political leaders and holders, and also on a federal level with the United States Agriculture Department. Um, they wanted to have everyone that wasn't, I put it like this, and just to be respectful, they wanted to invest, help, and assist everyone that
But
was not black.
yeah. And when Shirley Sherrod finally got her money, I remember meeting her at a meeting. And after that, I never heard anything from her or her constituents ever again once they got that money. And that really made an impact on me, because I realized that the older generation wasn't coming to save us either. They was going to get what they could for them, and they wasn't going to reach out and try to save much or more. That they maybe didn't even have the resources to. The few millions that she got was, was probably just enough for her to save herself. But it made me realize that we were still on our own, no matter who sued the USDA. We still had not received any kind of funding, and maybe was never to. But I do believe that the tide is turning these days. With these
Yeah,
terrorists, with these big, have this big, all this big fancy equipment, and we've never had that. We've always been basic land farmers and good at it. And I
yeah,
think that's going to be very profitable in the future. So
yeah,
it seems to have been a saving grace,
yep.
in
You
its
know,
own way. Not that we don't deserve funding and support and exposure in the future, but I just want to point out that we know how to turn a profit with very low operating costs.
yeah. We know how to. The only help we had was God and our backs working. And
And
I don't say that as a joke. I really
pulling
mean that. I
weeds,
just smile.
fixing fence, chasing cows. We used to get off the bus chasing cows.
Yeah,
I would walk 2 miles to the next neighbor's house because we didn't have no truck. We didn't have no four wheeler. So they would literally, neighbors would see me walking to come find the cows. Or we would go feed the cows in the morning during the wintertime, when the parents couldn't sustain them, or they would die and we would lose cattle, and that was money. That was our money. So that was our responsibility as kids to do that kind of stuff, feed dogs, just help him with just hold nails, whatever. There was always fixed pipes. There was
yeah,
nobody coming to help for anything. And today, as I have my house, I very rarely have to call anybody for help because
yeah.
of that.
That
I
is
mean, I
true.
really grew up on the farm. There's not much that I haven't seen, and if I haven't, I can learn it. And I'm sure you feel the same way. But that's just a skill that a lot of young black men just aren't exposed to on that extreme of a level. I mean, not they can say they went to the country, but to live that life, like I said, I remember us pulling coffee bean weeds, 8 feet tall, and we
Hmm.
were kids, and we couldn't go home till we finished the whole row. And the
Yeah,
rows were as long as my arms could reach out, longer than as a
yeah,
kid, but
yeah,
probably at least this long,
yeah.
and we had to pick the coffee beans. So we were in great shape, always have been, maybe too good of a shape. Maybe a little too
Yeah,
strenuous on the body because there was always work to do.
that is true.
But at the end of the day, the days ended early. There's no work on the farm after dark. And so that's about 6 o'clock when the news come on, everything shuts down. And we do
Yeah,
again, but I would like to point out that we didn't have central heat and air. We
at
still
all.
have that. I went to school for air conditioning for the sole purpose to make sure that place gets central heat and air. Because we
I don't
never had
believe that.
that. And we didn't have air conditioning all the time in the early 90s. You had a fan in your window, like you said, when it was hot at
Yeah,
night.
sweat it out.
You put that fan in one in the wintertime, you had an electric blanket. The house was a little drafty. There was no insulation under it, and that's where we grew up. I mean, no, we had a washing machine, but we didn't have a dryer. I
Yeah,
mean,
you had to hang.
adults these days want to try to dry their clothes in the winter before school tomorrow, and use a fireplace to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, we dried our clothes by the fireplace a lot of nights. Took
yeah,
baths outside.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a very unique upbringing, and we don't get to talk about it much. And
Yeah.
we did it very underfunded. I don't remember having cowboy boots. I don't remember having no fancy trucks. We had none of that, but we had seeds. You know, we had sunshine. We
I,
had
I
trophy,
always try to think back and remember where did our shoes come from because I never remember going shoe shopping.
probably from the Goodwill. I don't know.
I,
We got shoes sometimes, but it was usually around school time, once a year. It was like when we got older, when we started buying our own shoes. That's when I remember having shoes all the time. Because before then, you wasn't getting them but once a year.
the shoes did everything. Went to school
By
in them.
Christmas, my shoes was talking. And I was like, man,
And that's the only way you could get a new pair of shoes if they was
if they was talking,
the front of it is doing like this.
if they ain't talking, you ain't getting a new
They still some good. Yeah.
I mean, we laugh at it, but
Oh,
we are all around us. There were farmers and kids that came to school with this stuff, and
yeah.
we had the same land that they had, and
Yeah.
but we didn't have the resources. But like I said, we have 100 head of cows now. We do watermelons, greens,
Anything you think
peas,
of.
anything you can think of. We have chickens, 100 head of cows at least. I mean, no shortage on the
Oh,
cows these days.
yeah.
Um,
If you're in the area and Pearson, Georgia, and you're looking for fresh produce, contact my dad.
yeah, because as the years go on, there'll be more stuff going on there. Probably dog breeding, honeybees. You know, I recently got certified as a certified beekeeper, and I plan on continuing that and spreading that
That'll be
to
awesome.
there, yeah, on the farm and spreading it to everybody else on the farm. And
That's a big thing, man. Congratulations.
appreciate it. It's just something I always want to do. I know you've been doing the dogs, and
Yeah, my wife.
I love dogs too. You know, I had two pit bulls, Martin and Gina, that was celebrities for a little while, but they lived on the farm also. Um, I left them there on the farm, and they lived out their days there, like many other dogs have. Um, but we could just go on for days and days
They,
and the stories. I mean, like I said, there were three sisters, and it's called the Maceo Johnson Estate. But Maceo had been passed away since what, 93 maybe, before we got there. And the only people that were left out of that whole family that descended from slaves was the three sisters, and there had been four sisters. One that had died earlier named Gertrude,
93.
and but we learned so much from those three ladies. Bessie had blue eyes. They said
Hmm.
Bessie May, our granddaddy, our dad's mom. She had blue eyes. She had the prettiest blue eyes that I ever seen in any black person I've ever been. You know, I really haven't seen anybody a black person with eyes like her since then. She
Yeah,
had
blue.
blue eyes.
Hmm.
Just things like that I remember. Finding old stuff in the ground. All
Yeah.
the place is
Just,
old. Those oak
yeah.
trees there are 200 plus years old. There's an old plow down there that's looks like somebody got done plowing a field one day and times changed and it just grew into the tree. It'll never come out. It's so far into the tree now. It's probably been there
Yeah.
for 100 years at least.
Stuck in
Uh,
time.
but the reason for this video was to bring exposure to this small black farm, 200 plus acre farm in Pearson, Georgia, Southeast Georgia, because it's something that we experienced for our whole life, and our parents have been working really hard throughout their adolescence to keep this place going. And the kids have grown up and became educated, went to the military, and poured back into it. No one really gets much profit out of it. My dad operate and live within the farm, so whatever is pumped into it helps keep it running better, and which gives them a better quality of life. But we are getting to the point to where profits will be starting to turn because of the infrastructure that's been built since we have been grown.
Yeah.
I hope to see
That's
the future
correct.
just get to enjoy it in a way that where they all can enjoy it the way it's supposed to be enjoyed, and it can be a place of education and learning and history like it's supposed to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But as like I said, as an informal family historian, I just wanted to allow you to talk about a lot of the stories that you have been told. We're 45 minutes in. We may keep going, we may not. But we got plenty of stories if we wanted to. But is there anything
That's
that you want to say that's been on your mind about the
no,
history and experience on the farm?
no, not because like you said, we could keep going on for days. But I think I kind of hit it all. Like I said, oh, whoever's watching, I appreciate it. As always, like I always say, Coop,
Definitely.
I appreciate you for letting me be on your platform. I'm always grateful, and it's always a blessing. And Tyler Perry, if you ever interested in doing a documentary on this, you can definitely get in contact with us if this video gets to you. Yeah,
He's not too. I'm sure he's not too far away from ear's reach of
yeah,
us these days.
yeah.
We've all been working, and it's only a matter of time before this place right here is known. And we're
Yeah,
getting to. I would like to see it happen before my father gets too old and he gets to do attention and
right.
resources that he deserves. But we just want to get on here and talk about our history and let people know that we're here. And we hope you guys really enjoyed it.
Me
We'll
too.
be back. We'll be back with maybe more farming topics, maybe other topics. Just gotta stay tuned to see what we do next. But we appreciate everyone who got on this live and watched this, and who's gonna watch this in the future. And we'll be back
Yeah,
with more. And with that being
definitely.
said, I'm King Coop Dizzle.
Samantha,
This is Sizzle Entertainment Bro Talk, episode number 2. Peace. We're out, y'all.
peace out. Bye bye.